Good evening. It is 6:30 on the 12th. A lot of you are wondering what's going to happen tonight. And unfortunately, unless you are in Minnesota and western Wisconsin, you probably are going to get rained out unless you can find holes in the cloud. Now, there are going to be some holes, and it is worth going out and checking, and don't always trust your numbers because the data streams are crashing. I've noticed that some of the data streams are not keeping up. Some of the data streams are crashing periodically. So the only weapon in your toolbox is your own little eyes. So always look, try and see your radar. Get out there and check for yourself. Looking at our cloud cover. Right now, most of Michigan has high-level clouds. We do have a storm system, and this is, as it drops down over Michigan toward the lower end, Manistee, south, is likely to have some possibility at some lightning. For all of you storm chasers out there, there is a tremendous amount of electromagnetic energy, which propagates lightning. With all these solar storms, it's worth getting out there and trying, when you have enough stability in the storm, to see if there is some really outrageous lightning in these storms. When somebody hands you a lemon, make lemonade. So, I've heard a lot of people go, oh, it's done, it's over, everything's past us. Well, think again. You'd be wrong on that one, because just overnight, and I checked this at roughly 1 or 2 o'clock this morning, and we did not have a 3676. We have a 3676 as of before noon this morning, and that little 76 went from 0 to 60 and jumped right from a beta to a beta gamma. So let's go look at him. What makes this more eruptive? What makes it a beta gamma? Beta gamma is a little more eruptive than just a beta class. And why is it more eruptive? Because we have this interweaving here of positive and negative polarities that make it more possible for these loops to bump into each other to cause more flaring and more CME disruptions. So this is in the quiet zone right now, and it went from 0 to 60 in the quiet zone. It is in the spot that it's supposed to be quiet and behave itself, as it's earth facing. In the next 24 hours or so, it's going to roll into center stage. Earth facing, directly earth facing. It's supposed to be being quiet right now, and it's not being quiet. It's rapidly organizing. And as she rolls into out of earth facing, I look for this one to go to town. And we have, a new sunspot developing up here, 3677. It's going to start drawing the power back up here. So as this one starts to dissipate, this one starts to get drawn up in, this is going to possibly draw into a bigger complex of things. Now, coming around the limb, we also have 3678 has now rolled into view, and we have 3679 now in view. 3674, 3673 is here. And we have 73 and 70 or 67 are the only ones at this point that are alpha class storms. All of the rest of them are capable of being snarly. So let's roll through them today. 64 has been quiet today. It is breathing. It's only been dropping M class flares, but if you notice that it is not at all downgraded, it has raised its number of sunspots, stayed the same as far as the size, but it's adding sunspots to it. And these are getting, again, deeper and larger sunspots to it. So the sunspots themselves are kind of getting more deeper into the atmosphere, more complex. So, and bigger around. So I think this is in a reorganization phase, and this is perfectly capable of dropping something again. 67 is downgrading its size. 70 is just hanging out. 71, just hanging out. It's not doing anything. 72, just hanging out. Although it is now up to 50% chance of dropping a C-class flare. That is up. And 73 has actually dropped a C-class flare today. That is something new. 73 has actually dropped a C-class flare. 74 is now around the limb where we can see it. It has some very well-defined line down the middle here, so we don't have a lot of intermixing between the positive and the negative. We have a very defined line down the middle. It doesn't make it very probable that it is going to do much until it reorganizes. But we're in the quiet zone. It's coming around the limb. It's hit that zone where it's supposed to behave itself and be very, very quiet. Sit down, be good, behave yourself, don't do much. It's rolling into the active zone, and it is possible that this will develop and change shape over time, and as it gets earth facing, do something. It's a very large sunspot. And we have 3675 here. It is up 10% in size. It too is very well defined, with the negative and the positive being very well separated. And now we have our beta gamma 76, very intermixed polarities. This one, again, I look for it to go off. It hasn't done anything yet, but it's a baby. It's just in barely even breathing. It's minutes old as far as sunspots go, and it is going to be ticking into that active zone in the next 24 to 36 hours. This one, I look for it to go to town. So there are a few here that, like this one, I look for this one to change shape as it gets earth facing and rocks into a different zone and gets into that active zone. This one too, 33, it's very well defined, but as it starts getting into that earth facing position, if it starts to reorganize its shape a little bit, then it will, again, it's a very good sized sunspot. It could reorganize its shape and give us something different. 72, as it ticks into earth facing, it has interwoven complexity here. It can, this one, once it clicks out of earth facing and gets in that busy zone, this one is more likely to give us something. 71 as well. We have lots of interwoven polarities here. This one I would look for us to give this one, and 70 as well. We have those intermixed polarities, and this is one I would look for it to get busy. So, and 70, 71, 70 are now starting to get into the busy zone, and those have shifted from alpha to beta, and they're now clicking into the active zone. It is a possibility these will begin to get busy. 77 is a brand new sunspot. 75 has just developed yesterday. These will probably make it the full circle around, and we will start to see these in 2.5 weeks or 2 weeks. This is staying very well organized. I look for this to make the full circle around. So in 2 weeks, we'll see these back again. This I look for in the next 36 hours to hit this zone and get busy. And then I look for this region down here to be one that can get very busy. Let's see if I've got it down here. No, I don't have it down here. Looking over here, I'm going to switch over and I want to go over here. And I did something a little different for you today because I wanted to show you. I'm going to pull this up. This is like, we started at 8 o'clock the night, last night. And this is going through till about 4 a.m. this morning. So we've got, a good 12-hour run. But we've got, wham, we've got a CME coming out here. It's very dense. It's close enough that it is going to give us a graze. The next CME happens, so that's happening at 8 o'clock our time. This is happening at 1800 hours. It happened a little before this one. Why they've got it mixed up, I don't know. But it came a little bit before. And it had a blast going out this way. But I want you to look at what I lined it up, and I didn't realize they had it backwards on their where the way they had it lined up on their time scale. What I want you to look at here is look at the snow. Okay, so this one came first, the middle one here came first, this one came second, this one came third. So bop, 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 look at all the snow. That is a massive amount of plasma that's already hitting Earth. Okay, so there's snow as it's hitting, there's snow out there. So there's still a lot of snow from last night's storms. There's snow coming. There's still a lot of stuff following what hit last night to what's hitting there and coming at us. There's a lot in between what we've had and still what's coming. So don't think this is going to drop off. And then early this morning at about 4 a.m., we've had another massive CME. It is a wide tick off here. Going back and looking, following those storms. Here is that one that happened this morning. About an hour later, you can see the density of plasma. It is going to be Earth directed. It is going to make a graze at Earth. It may be a little bit lower, but it does have a full halo hit, and we are going to experience something from that CME. We have a blast coming off to the side, but for some reason here, we have something piling up here, and this may be the shock wave of Earth, and this may indicate that all of this plasma is just sort of building up and sitting on top of our shock, on top of Earth's magnetic sphere, because we have a tremendous amount of stuff that's staying built up on all of these images in an abnormal way right there. And it might be that it's just all building up right there. We have a blast going this way. We have another narrow blast going this way. This is about 7 o'clock in the morning. So this is ongoing. So you started at 4. This is 3 hours now that the storm is continuing. We're now at 11 a.m. or 11 o'clock. We still have winds coming out at a nice steady branch. Here's another. This will miss us. All this stuff will miss us. But all this stuff right here, we have another CME starting here. This stuff down here will hit us. This may give us a graze. Again, you can see we're getting a compression on our shock wave on Earth. There's something here that's hitting Earth and it's backing up. So there's enough plasma out there that it's hitting Earth's magnetic fields and it's backing up. We're getting, this is at about 10 o'clock. but we're getting this backup here, that this plasma is bunching up here. There's that CME about an hour later at noon UTC time. Off to the side here is another one. And then we have one going off the side, but you can see we still have this big full halo going around. This is at 1300 hours. Or, so it would be 1300 hours, be 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock our time, 9 o'clock in the morning on our time. We still have a bunch of full halo stuff happening here, so we still have a bunch of stuff coming at us. Will it be as big as the KP9? No, probably not going to be as big as the KP9, but we are still predicted to have something. So we are at a 6, predicted to have a 7 into 9. It will degrade over the daytime hours tomorrow, and then is expected to start peaking up in the middle of the day into the overnight hours for a secondary G3 storm tomorrow night. Now, it is expected to be really lousy viewing tonight unless you can find holes in the clouds. Better viewing tomorrow, so you have a shot tomorrow. And then we are expected to continue on Tuesday. We're supposed to have clear skies and better viewing on Tuesday and Wednesday. Here we have activity predicted as far out as Tuesday night at a minimum level, but it's still something. And if we continue to get these storms, there's a likelihood we could see something even further out if we get any more solar eruptions. Unfortunately, after that time period, we have a week-long run of rain coming. Down in the plains, it's indicative already of being a tornado outbreak week. So if you have people living south of us, it could be a gnarly week for people living down south. May even get some bad weather up here during that time if it warms up enough. Right now it's too far out to tell if we're going to get enough warm weather to get any severe weather here. We know that these storms are developing. We have a lot of developing sunspots that are developing really, really well. If I was to come back here and look what they're predicting, let's go look at let's look at their long-term forecast here. So we are on May 6th. They're predicting already by June 1st that we're going to have a roll around of at least a KP4 around the 24th, the 26th, and the 1st. We back up things 3 days. So if we're at the 6th, and this all happened on like the 10th, 11th, and 12th, we're going to back this up 3 days. And you're going to want to see this happening, around. We should see these sunspots start rolling in as early as the 3rd or the 4th. But we're going to start looking for the activity from those sunspots right around the 6th, 7th, and 8th. They cannot put this on the forecast because they cannot predict a sunspot. They can only predict the coronal holes. So the 6th, with that last bunch of activity, we had some very strong coronal holes that they are pretty sure are going to make that circle around. That's why we have this very strong elevated 6 here, because they know that there is a coronal hole there, and that's what they're basing this prediction on. They cannot for sure guarantee that these sunspots are going to make the circle. as well developed as this 64 sunspot is, if it does not drop a kill shot and blow itself out on the backside of this, I look for this to be around in the next couple of weeks. You'll see it back around, and you should start seeing it hit the Earth. The sunspot that's developing 76, I look for that to make a full rotation and be at full development when it comes back around. 75 will be at a bigger development stage when it comes back around. 77 likewise will be at a little bigger development stage as it comes back around. So you've got a lot of things developing, and we're starting to see peak start kicking in. So I think June is going to be fantastic. You will want to start watching this religiously, because you start watching when these sunspots happen. You also start watching, let me find the map here so I could show you if it's going to run today. I haven't been able to get it to run. Okay. You can see these are the Earth spacing. We still have these sunspots back here. You go to this composite map, and what is in the yellow is on the back side. It's on the dark Earth, directly opposite of us. It's on the back side of the sun. You want to start learning to get in the habit of watching this map, and it's on SDO, Solar Dynamics website. When you watch this, you can know, okay, I have some sunspots rolling around. You look at your 27-day forecast. They're saying I have a coronal hole predicted at this time. That's going to match up with these sunspots rolling around. And you're looking at this 2 to 3 weeks out in August to try and guess your best time in September to take vacation. Because remember, from August 21st to the end of or beginning of November is your peak time for the big aurora shows in the fall. So this is how you start to put together, when is my peak times? When do I need to look at taking vacation to try and guess at when is the best time to take a week off? So you look at your predictions. So you come over here, you look at, okay, I have this 6 here on May 6th, and I'm going to go over here to SDO, and these are here, and I know it's going to take about X amount of time for that sunspot to get around, and it's going to line up with coming around exactly about the same time as that coronal hole comes through. So I know that I've got sunspots with the coronal hole. That's my most likely time to have great big storms. And this is how you figure out a month in advance of when you want to bank the best guess at vacation. You're not going to be perfect. You might miss. It's not a perfect science, but that's, you can't just say, hey boss, I just had a KP9 and I'm walking out the door and I'm leaving for a week. Most bosses aren't going to let you get away with that. So you got to kind of do your best guess at planning ahead of time to apply for the time off. This is how you do it. It won't be perfect. Maybe you'll get it right. Maybe you won't, but this is the best way to guess. And hopefully, by September, we're far enough into maximum that you're seeing auroras at 3 and 4 on a more regular basis. So even if you are up here, you're going to get something. So I'm going to leave it there because I have to get up and around and decide where I'm going and what I'm doing. And I will let you go. Have a good evening.